I am very excited to be interviewing the person I am today. She is a 12-time Tony Award-winning producer. This year, she's working on one of my favorite shows, Harmony, Gutenberg, Merrily We Roll Along, and The Shark is Broken. Previously, she worked on what I think is the best play of the 21st century, the Lehman Trilogy. She has so many amazing shows to her credit, but she also does a cabaret uh, about every 3 months, 4 months, maybe.
I think it's gotten less than that this year. Just been
But
so
they're
busy.
they're for the Entertainment Community Fund, previously the Actors Fund, and they are wonderfully put together. I'm talking, we're with Jamie deRoy. Jamie, how do you go about choosing the people to be on your show with you?
Oh boy, I mean that's a tough one. I mean, sometimes there's people you've asked in the past that couldn't do it before, and then they're finally available, or you're just sort of with someone. I mean, I had asked Nikki M. James in the past, and she was never available. And I ran into her at the opening of The Shark is Broken, and we were hanging out with Andrew Reynolds, who, of course, she was in Book of Mormon with. And I was like, Nikki, would you want to do this? It's coming up then. And of course, because of the actors' strike, she was available, unfortunately, or fortunately for me, unfortunately for her, because she's been doing a series. Now, if that hadn't been going on, she probably could not do it. So it's different. I mean, Tony Danza, we've been talking about it for a long time. He's finally available. Daisy Jopling, as you know, because I think you kind of work closely with her in her charity.
I
She's been with me off and on over the years, and she's just so much fun, and she's self-contained, but she's so exciting. Now, I know Nicholas King, I know Seth Sykes, but now they're doing these duet shows. And I thought, how fun to get them together, because I love duets. And they, rather than say to someone, why don't you just do a duet and, learn something new, they have it all. So that's like easy for them. And they're just about to do one of their duet shows coming up very soon. And Stephen Scott, I know Stephen for years and years and years. He's been on the show in the past. His father is Marvin Scott, who's a newscaster at Channel 11 for many, many years. And Stephen he's really funny. Plus, he does some voices. He does some impressions, which are incredible. But when we first got cell phones, we were at the Laurie Beachman Theater, which of course is downstairs, as everyone knows. So Stephen does this routine where it's like, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? And he gets under the piano and he goes, can you hear me now?
It's amazing how addicted we are to finding those cell phones.
I know. But the point, I guess, is we try to make it a little eclectic. I mean, sometimes I'll have a songwriter, and I actually did try to get Bruce Sussman to come on because
Oh,
I am involved with Harmony,
Harmony.
but because they're still going to be in previews, they're just still working, and they couldn't do it. I don't have a songwriter this time. The next time around, I'm sure I'll have a songwriter. So everything just varies. And listen, we always say too that program is subject to change on the outside chance that somebody may get a job, somebody could get sick, and almost anything can happen, and we have to be prepared for that in this day and age. I mean, I was always prepared for that, but I would say it's even more so these days.
I know that Barry Kleinberg is your musical director. When you
No,
two
he's
put,
my director.
oh, he's your
No, he's
director.
my director. The musical director is Ron Abel.
Oh, of course. How could I not know this?
That's
Um,
okay.
When it comes to putting this show together, what comes first?
Well, that old line about the check won't work here because we give a check. Um,
Right.
we just kind of start, and it's very hard to ask, people too far out in advance because nobody
Knows what
really
their
knows
schedule.
what their schedule is. I mean, hell, when I set up one of these shows, I never know what I'm going to be up against in the real world of, how many benefits I'm going to be against, or readings, or this, that, and the other thing.
Especially this year.
Oh my God.
This year's
It's
insane.
am I are we crazy?
No,
More than
no.
ever?
I think it's because normally we start in September, and this year we didn't really start in September. It started really in October, and now everything's crunched together, and I'm like, I'm double booking myself for stuff going, what the hell?
And Monday nights in particular, and I like to do it at Birdland upstairs. I love that room. It just works for what we do. So we do it upstairs at Birdland, and we can only get that on a Monday night before cast party. And Jim Caruso's cast party's been running there for a zillion years. And the rest of the week is really much more jazz oriented. So
Right.
it's not like I can say, well, can I get a Wednesday night? I'm not going to get it, because it's their bookings, which are very often a Tuesday through a Saturday, and we
Right.
only do a one night. You'll never see this combination of performers again. You might see
And
one of the performers again with me, but never in the same combination.
how many have you done?
Oh, I've lost track because, I started doing these in 1990, and
Wow.
I started, it was still Steve McGraw's
Oh,
on
yeah.
72nd Street. So in the beginning of 1990, we started Jamie deRoy and Friends at Steve McGraw's. On the third show we did ever, Steve Allen shows up. Now, he had been sending me songs, sheet music, cassettes. Remember cassettes?
Yeah.
Of his songs and his parodies. And the day that I mean, like maybe a day or two before my show, I got a big package in the mail from him. And one of the songs was Gorillas in the Mist to Strangers in the Night. And I said, oh, this is so funny and so topical. Maybe we'll do it. Well, he showed up. And
Oh.
so I went to him in the audience and I said, I don't want to put you on the spot, but would you like to come on stage and sing it? And he said, well, I sent it for you. And I said, I know, but there's nothing better than the songwriter doing it. And everyone would love to see you. So he actually came on stage and sang his parody. Rod Housen was my musical director in those days.
Mm.
And they played, he was so funny to Rod. He started tinkling on the keys and he turns around, he goes, now you're playing. I mean, he was funny. We went out, and Fine and Shapiro was open then. It's since the pandemic
Right.
was closed, but we got a big salami, which he referred to on his show as a Louisville slugger. And he would give it to the guests, and we gave it to him at the end of the show. Barry Mitchell was writing parodies for me in those days, and he was part of the whole thing. And we presented it to Steve Allen. It was just great fun. And I remember when we would move the show around after that to various clubs. And one time we were playing Don't Tell Mama, and Henny Youngman showed up.
Oh,
Now,
wow.
normally I don't bring people up from the audience, but Henny was there, and I asked him if he'd like to do something, and he comes up on stage and he did the funniest, tightest 6 minutes of his one-liners that you have ever heard. It was
Wow.
hysterical. I miss him so much because I knew him from the Friars Club, and that's how he knew me. It was very special. But he was at my house for a party for the 100th birthday of Fred Allen, because I had bought Fred Allen's apartment, and I knew Henny, but I didn't know. Oh God, it's going to come to me. There's another actor that had been on Fred Allen's radio show. I didn't know him at all, and I invited them both to the party. They both showed up. We wanted a picture of them together, and Henny go, tell him to come to me. And the other was like, tell him to come to me. It was like, we never got the picture because it was like, I'm the bigger star. He should come to me. It was crazy.
By the way, don't be surprised if Bonnie Comley and Stuart Lane want to come see your apartment.
Oh, really? Because of Fred Allen or
No,
what?
because I told them about you yesterday. I
Oh,
was talking about your apartment.
well, I ran into them the other day, and I don't know if they were going off to the opera with this group,
Oh,
but
yeah, they were.
they were. So, well, Eli Marcus, who you
Right.
introduced me to, I stopped in there just for a few minutes before I went to two things at the 92nd Street Y, both of which were fantastic.
Yeah,
The
they have
first
great
one
programs.
was Elaine May interviewing Julian Schlossberg
Oh,
in the
wow.
reception, which is usually the reception hall next to the auditorium. They had it set up there. I'd never been to anything there. It was kind of wonderful. That was at 6:30. Then at 8 o'clock, they had Arnold Schwarzenegger in the main room, and I was going to both.
Oh, wow.
And that's what I had to run off to. But that group was all going to see La Boheme at the Metropolitan Opera, which sounded
Right.
wonderful, but I was already booked. So, and Arnold was incredible. He was just terrific.
The 92nd Street Y has some amazing programs. When I put together the cabaret talks and events for each month, they're one of the first places I go because I think what they put on is so amazing.
And their lyrics and lyricists, which has been going on forever, and
Right.
it's so great. And the next one that it's the next one up, but it's also the next one I'm going to, starts at the end of October. It's only got like three
It's Jessica
performances.
Vosk, right?
What?
Jessica Vosk? Or is
Yeah, I
it
think
Christian
she's in
Borle?
it, but it's all Howard Ashman
Yeah, it's
songs.
Christian Borle's directing. I want to see that.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, it looks so exciting. And
Absolutely.
I love going to lyrics and lyricists there. And it's really great that they have continued the tradition.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. Who would be some of your dream guests to have on Jamie DeRoy and Friends?
Oh boy, because that's a hard one to answer because I feel like I've had a lot of my dream guests, even though maybe I wasn't even dreaming of them, but they, you know, Dee Snider, Tony Danza coming up. Um, well, Joy Behar used to do it in the early days, and
I
then,
remember.
a couple years ago, she did come and well, she did my big benefit at for my 70th birthday when we did it at the John Jay College, and she did another one since then at Birdland. But when she started with me, I wouldn't, she wasn't like exactly a dream guest. She was just one of the many wonderful comedians that I knew. And I just, had the pleasure and joy to watch her career just take off. I love when that happens to my friends. I mean, I truly, truly do. Because it's what everybody wants for their friends, for themselves,
Right.
all kinds of things.
I liked when you had Christina Bianco on there. That was the first
I
time I ever saw it. I thought she
she was
was so
great. And
mhm.
she was, somebody I could always go to. And, she would always have a little bit of different theme. Maybe the song would be different, but she'd do all these character voices. The one person that I miss so much that has unfortunately left us, and that is Kevin Meaney, because
Oh,
his We Are the World, with all his impressions and just with a thing of putting his hair back or putting a pair of glasses on or a hat on or something, so quickly imitating all these people that were on that recording. And he was just a really funny stand-up comedian also. I mean, Mario Cantone in the early days was on with me a lot. I'd love to have him back at some point because I think he's fantastic.
what's he doing? I haven't seen him in forever.
Well, I mean, he's on the reboot of Sex in the City, and Just Like That. He does a lot of stuff. He's always busy, and he's just incredibly funny. He
I
also sang the other night for Betty Buckley on when she was
Oh,
honored,
okay.
and he did Rose's Turn. So yeah, I mean, that's another one that you just watch the career soar. You
Right.
know, somebody like Dee Snider, when I met him, he was already a star.
How many
So,
careers have you launched?
oh, I haven't, I'm not taking credit for anybody's actual
Right.
launch of their career, but you know, I there's some I sometimes I open doors. I'm not the one that makes it totally happen. Their talent makes it happen. I mean, Mario did that was in 92. We were at Caroline's and we were doing a I did two benefits. The first one was for Clovis Ruffin,
Mm,
and they bookended the series of 8 shows that I did at Caroline's on Broadway when the club first opened. And I'm sorry to see that club go because I thought that was just a beautiful, wonderful space to perform in.
I
But the
agree.
first one was for Clovis Ruffin, who had died of AIDS, and
Mm,
we did it for the Momentum AIDS Project. Then during our run, I hadn't really figured out the closing show. During our run, Bob Harrington, who was a beloved critic from the New York Post and Backstage, and he was the one that created the Backstage Bistro Awards, he passed away. So we did a benefit for him. And at one of those, Mario, I can't remember, it was the first or the last, but Mario performed and Ron Delsener showed up. And from that, Mario got booked at Carnegie Hall opening for Shirley Bassey. And it just then, and
wow.
it just really helped him take off. But there were a lot of things that helped Mario. I would never take credit for any one performer, because as we know, there's so many things that go into it,
Variables.
so many people, so many appearances that, that's how it all happens. It's a conglomeration of things. It's the same thing as somebody gets, into a show or a Broadway show or a movie. They even Arnold was saying this the other night. He said, I might have been in a movie, but Ivan Reitman gave me the opportunity, or this one gave me the opportunity. The director and the producer and all these people. That's how I got there. I didn't just get there alone. So
Right.
anyway,
You-
he's written a really great book. So it's like, seven things to help you in your life, and I wish he'd written it a long time ago, because I think it would have helped me. And we was talking about visualizing what you want for yourself.
Don't you do that?
I don't, if I do, I don't do it consciously, but probably, but not to the degree that he did. And I think he, more than anyone I ever knew in my life, that he saw something, visualized it, and got it. It was like thump, bum, bum. And he was so good at it. And I look like alfalfa here. I remember alfalfa. I guess I'm dating
I was
myself.
about to tell you, and I'm like, do I do that?
I
You
mean, isn't
do?
it funny when you have these, you have these things that you relate to in your life, and then you realize most of the world doesn't know the little rascals, and it's like foreign to them. You
Most
mentioned
of the world doesn't know
writing
a
to
lot of
some
stuff.
people. What?
Most of the world doesn't know a lot of stuff.
I know. By the way, after having seen that, been at the Arnold talk, I ran into my friend Casey Childs at the Elaine May talk, and I told him I was going to see Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, he sent me. He said he was there at the taping at Paramount. Arnold Schwarzenegger's first TV appearance as a masseuse, giving Lucille Ball a massage, and her estranged husband Art Carney walks in to
Oh
get his
no.
stuff. I'll send it to you later. It is
Oh, I'd
so
love to see it.
funny. and all the double entendres, and they don't know why he's there. It's hysterical.
Okay, you do a lot of philanthropy. What makes you wanna give back?
Well, I guess I sort of learned this from within my family. Certainly my dad, my mother, and even my relatives. Not that I could ever compete with that, but there is a huge thing called the deRoy Testamentary in out of Detroit. My mother was named after her. I guess it was her uncle Aaron deRoy. My mother's name was Aranelle deRoy. That was her maiden name, and then she married my father. She was Aranelle deRoy Gruber, and poor Aaron deRoy was hugely successful. He had rewritten his will but not signed it, and was to take so he could help my mother's mother, who was a single mom, lost her husband, and his daughter, my mother's stepsister, had infantile paralysis, which now we know it as polio, but it was even before all of that, and there are no vaccinations, nothing. And this woman was amazing, my Aunt Marion, and she had the biggest braces on her legs. I mean, these big, awful black, like army boots with metal things up the leg,
I
and
remember
they
seeing
were
these.
so awkward. But she got around everywhere. She did everything. She was the most well-read person I knew. Anyway, when he was rewriting his will, he had written my grandmother into the will so he could help her take care of Aunt Marion and my mother, who was, I think, her father died when she was 16. And he had the misfortune of being killed in a car accident before he had signed it, but unfortunately with an unidentified woman. And my great aunt decided that nobody's seeing this. We're going to give all this money away, and she created this big foundation, which still goes to this day, and it does so many great things. And so I think that probably set the tone within my family. And we've always given back, but we never had that much money to give back. My older brother's incredibly successful. He has the Gruber Family Foundation, and they do tons of charitable work. I do, in my way, I do what I can, but I don't have that much. But giving these doing the shows and giving the money away is one way that I certainly can do it. In addition, that I set up a thing through the Jewish Communal Fund of a foundation, and I try to take care of, help out various theater companies and whatnot. But
That's
doing it for
lovely.
them is very strict. Everything has to be a legit 501c3, and but
What
it does make you feel good.
what haven't I asked you that you would like people to know about Jamie DeRoy and Friends?
I just think it's a fun way to help us give back to, the community. You get to see a lot of different performers. Most people, if they're a singer, they're going to do like 2 songs. If it's a comedian, they're going to do 8 to 10 minutes. You get a little taste of them. And then hopefully, if you like these performers, you will go and catch them later when they're doing their whole show. You might see that Stephen Scott is performing somewhere, or Daisy Joplin, who has her own foundation and does a lot of charitable work. Tony Danza started his own foundation where they help these kids. It's called Stars of Tomorrow, and they're doing a benefit on Thursday, October 26th at Signature Theater, just a few nights after our benefit. But the kids are highlighted.
Oh,
It
nice.
works with these young people, and he changes their lives, which is really, it gives him such pleasure to do that. And I think it's really wonderful of him, because I think you don't even think of him in that way, and yet here he is giving back so much. And it's not just money, it's his time and his energy
Which
and
is
his
valuable.
knowledge. So I applaud him for that. The same as I applaud Daisy Joplin for, everything that she does. And I have to say that performers to me are some of the most giving people. They all the actors, they're the ones that are called every Monday night for every charitable
Right.
benefit that's being done. They don't get paid. Um, they never get, the musicians might get paid, but the actors never get paid. But they take their night off and they sing a song or two and they give back. And I think it's so commendable. And rarely will you have somebody say no. Because what am I getting out of it? They don't, that's
It's
not
not about that.
what's said. That they never, they don't think like that. And I really applaud performers and actors for that reason, for their generosity. Because not everybody can write a check and
Mm,
not everybody needs to. Sometimes you need to get the people in so other people write the checks.
right. No, I think that's the most wonderful thing about our community is that it completely gives back in so many different ways. It tries always to give from the heart, to give from the pocketbook, to give from the soul. And I love that about us.
I do too. And one of the things in the Broadway community that I adore is when they do, now it's called the Red Bucket Follies, but
Oh, yeah.
when they get together and they do all these skits, and they tease their own shows, they tease each other, or sometimes it's just something that's so moving.
Mm.
By the way, I did want to, just because this just happened,
Oh, sure.
to say that Stephen Luttvack, we are all in the Broadway and cabaret community, because Stephen came out of cabaret, that he died so suddenly and so young, and was such a huge talent. I mean, he was the one that with Robert L. Friedman wrote Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, and
Right.
it was a brilliant piece of theater, won the Tony Award, I think, in 2014. But to hear that this poor guy just, died so suddenly from, a complication from some very simple surgery, from what I understand. And I don't want to be quoted of how it all happened, but it just is, it's just so sad. And it took
Yeah.
us all, it just shocked everybody.
Well, Michael McGrath, same thing.
Michael McGraw, my God, I loved him so much. I've done, he was in Nice Work if you can get it, and he
Yeah.
won his Tony for that. He was one of the funniest, nicest people, and I would
Oh.
watch his Facebook post with all his fantastic cooking, and said, "I'm coming to your house for dinner one night." I mean, he was just amazing. There's
I
so many,
knew.
we're losing lately too many young people, and
Yes.
it's very sad. I mean, yes, we're losing, other very seasoned people like Tom Jones, who gave us the
Right.
Fantastics, but um you feel Tom had an amazing life, and it's just hard when it's cut, somebody talented, and their life is cut short.
I could easily talk to you forever. Um, I find you very fascinating, and I think my audience will too. You can catch Jamie deRoy and Friends on October 23rd at 7 p.m. at Birdland. Come, and you will be giving back not only to yourself, but to the community. Thank you,
Thank
Jamie.
you.